As an old soldier passing my time reading military history, I am irked on a regular basis by civilian historians who cannot or will not make the proper distinction between the three kinds of soldiers. These flippant historians are sadly quite popular. What are these three kinds of soldiers? I'm glad you asked. Allow me. Conscripted, volunteered, and selected. Before you dive for the keyboard, yes, there is an interplay between these categories, but before we get to that, let's define our basics. A quick Google search tells us that a conscript is someone who is enlisted compulsory. This person in question doesn't have a choice. What is left unexplored by the definition is the fact that a large number of those compelled to enlist will not want to be drafted. These soldiers potentially hold counterproductive attitudes about military service, and they might cause more harm to their country's military than help. We will expand on this thought later. In sharp distinction to our prior category, we have the volunteer soldier. The volunteer is a cornerstone of American life. So many American mutual benefit organizations exist simply because people exercise their own free will to help those around them. The basic fact is that the volunteer wants to be there. This is fundamentally a healthy attitude. A desire to stay and see things through is a desirable thing. The volunteer benefits, as does the organization around the volunteer. Our next category relates how the military organization responds to the prior categories. At some level, everyone who wears the uniform is, quote, selected. However, this term takes on new dimensions when it is used to describe a soldier already in uniform. In fact, the most ready reference to, quote, selection relates to the formal process a volunteer soldier goes through to achieve placement in an elite special operations unit. The two most ready examples to my mind are Special Forces selection and Ranger Regiment selection. The tabs awarded after passing the required courses are worn with pride because of the sheer magnitude of the achievement it is to be selected for service in either of these elite volunteer-only units. It is worth mentioning that there are further specialized selection courses inside of these elite units. However, my aim for this video is merely to draw the distinction among the basic soldier groups. There's a great deal of bureaucratic red tape associated with these or any other selection course. The precise nature of this red tape and the rules associated with the uniform tabs is well beyond the scope of this video. There are plenty of great videos out there if you are interested in either Special Forces or the Ranger Regiment. I encourage you to watch as many as you can. Back to our main idea. These definitions highlight an individual dynamic. A soldier that never volunteers for any detail will forever be a conscript and forever hold a bad attitude. The soldier that is selective about which detail they volunteer for will exercise a certain level of control over their own day-to-day work and their own career. Clearly, the latter is more desirable for both the military and for the soldier. Yet there's another less talked about angle to this. A soldier that takes charge as best as is possible is open to selection for special duty within their unit. This soldier may be voluntold to go be an armorer, or go be a scout, or go chauffeur the regimental commander. Each of these selected positions comes with perks and a measure of independence. In these situations, a soldier who always volunteers is more likely to want to be a scout, or an armorer, or a command driver. The soldier in these situations makes their own luck. They choose to see their limited selection as a volunteer opportunity and not a conscript chore. The main idea I'm driving at is that these three categories are universal and are applicable across time and culture. This main idea is why I'm so skeptical of any civilian historian attempting to make a point about soldiering while pointing to a campaign that was full of bad attitude conscripts. Most of the memoirs and other works by military authors that make it to the shelves are written by those who know well these three categories. Yet I have yet to find a work from a civilian military historian that bothers to consider these factors as a whole as part of the campaign under consideration. Quite often the civilian historian will instead fall out to jingoism and seek to obfuscate these distinctions with nationalistic rhetoric devoid of lessons for the professional soldier. In fact, I'm of the opinion that the first consideration to be made when examining any particular campaign or battle is to first examine the composition of the line. Who is actually doing the fighting? Victory in a military campaign, no matter how well supplied, is impossible without motivated soldiers.